special educator. I had the opportunity to facilitate the growth session at Busboys and Poets on Thursday, and it was really cool. We had the opportunity to talk about imposter syndrome, and so we're kind of going to lead this conversation in the same way, but in a different way, in a sense. Imposter syndrome is having self-doubt of the skills that we have or the successes that we have achieved. And I shared on Thursday that I think that imposter syndrome comes from experiencing past traumas and growing up in environments or in specific ways that make us feel like the success that we ultimately achieve is not the success that we deserve. And so we led into like really affirming ourselves in ways that allow us to keep the focus, but also keep going to ensure that the goals that we have help us to continue to sprout and be more than what we've ever dreamed. So I'm gonna lead us in a few table topics so that we can guide our discussion. What do you do to celebrate yourself?
I think for me, one of the biggest ways I celebrate myself is by like actually making myself open to receiving love from others. So I think like oftentimes we all will get like someone like our community and circle being like, oh, do you need anything? Let me know, let me know, let me know. And of course, like you're like trying not to, you might feel like, oh, well, I don't want to be a burden or I don't want to be a problem. So you're like, oh no, I'm good, I'm good. But recently I've been like over the past, I would say like 3 months, I've gotten really better at being like, you know what? Yeah, I actually do need like a hug. I do need some quality time. I do need an ear. I do need a sounding board. It's funny, I actually was in DC this past Friday and Saturday with a really good friend of mine. After having like an extremely long week, finding out someone that was like incredibly dear to me had passed. At first I was like, no, as much stuff I want to work on, I kind of want to like stay in the mix, but I was like, you know what? I received this. Yes, I will have my bags packed and ready at 11. I was just like sitting in the Airbnb Friday night, like, wow, like imagine if I had denied myself this much like love and support in this way. So that's how I'm getting into that by receiving.
I think that's real. And I have a question for you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
When I think about imposter syndrome, it does manifest in ways like we feel like we have to do everything by ourselves. Mm-hmm. What advice could you give to somebody else who is battling those same things? I know I am. Like sometimes when people are like, do you need anything? I'm like, no, I got it, or everything's gonna be okay. Like I just try to like handle it myself. Yeah. What is some advice that you could give to someone like me who needs support in being able to be okay with taking the help that they're provided?
I think one of the biggest things I would say is be comfortable with being honest that like you might actually be an imposter. And when I say that, I mean like we live in a world that's so destabilizing and only really aims to separate us. And I think in my own experiences, I had so many times of being like, no, like I'm not an imposter, but like I actually was an imposter. I was not supposed to be there where I was. I was not meant to be there. That was not in alignment with where I should be. And I think when I was finally able to honor, like, you know what? I am an imposter, but I'm also someone whose story is in progress. I think those were like the biggest ways I was able to kind of like, not free myself from imposter syndrome, but build a good enough relationship with that part of myself that I wasn't able to kind of like better shift into things that were more in alignment with where I knew I should have been, but I wasn't, because I was like not receiving help. I wasn't thinking about, you know, my like divine destiny. I was so worried about like the like small immediate world and not like the bigger purpose.
I think I have something to contribute to. When I initially heard the question, I was like, the gears were turning, because I was like, what does that even look like for me? But I think I was having trouble figuring out what it looked like for me, because I feel like I've gotten to a place in my own journey of healing self where I take as many celebrations as I can. as little or as big as possible. Like if I do an exercise, I'll look in the mirror and look at myself and be like, you did it today. If like I eat a very nourishing like dinner or something like that, or make myself food, because sometimes that's really hard. You know, I'll reward myself by buying a book the next morning or something like that. If I decide not to get McDonald's on the way to work because it's so easy and right there, I reward myself later with like a matcha or a nice tea. I like tea too. But I think that I've gotten to a place where I'm like, it doesn't have to be this big fanfare. I celebrate myself every day, and I talk well to myself every day, and everything is a celebration, because every moment that I'm alive is a celebration. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
With imposter syndrome, I know that I experience it often just because like I'm the first in my family to graduate and the first in my family to do there's so many firsts, right? And so like sometimes I experience that and I think about it and I'm like, how is it that I'm the only one? I'm the youngest one, I'm the only one, like how is it that I'm the person that's in that position? And so it makes me feel away a lot of the times. And the way that I combat it is those affirmations, like you said, speaking well to yourself and repeating it and like knowing that you're in this place because you took the steps to get there. You did the work, you prayed about it, you manifested it, you were an imposter, and then you had to recognize where you were supposed to be, and you kind of dwelled in like following the path and trusting your instincts and things of that nature. And so affirmations have become a really huge part of like who I am and how I keep going, just because I know that there are so many opportunities that I speak and have self-doubt and think that I can't make the next move and things of that nature. There's been so many opportunities where I've been like, I'm not gonna try it. Like no. And then I do it and I'm like, oh snap, they picked me. Like no, it's me. Like, and I doubt myself. Like they don't even know. They don't even know who they just picked, right? Like all of those things. And so I do a lot of affirmations like day in and day out. So I want to open the floor with like, what are your favorite affirmations?
One of the things that I do when I'm like cleansing my energy, like if I'm using, I don't use sage, but Palo Santo or maybe mugwort or anything like that. Anything I'm using to cleanse sort of my aura, I say to myself when I cleanse my hands, bless my hands so that they can bless others. And I think for me, it helps me to reaffirm that I'm not doing this necessarily for myself, I'm doing this for the greater good. So that's one of my favorite affirmations right now.
For me, I think that putting God first is putting my body first. So I've been in the gym every day for like 2 hours in the morning before I do anything. And I think while I'm in there is really when I'm talking to myself. I talk to myself all day, but I think that those morning talks, like this morning, I was listening to a lot of Cleo Soul, and every word, like every line, I was like, yes, girl, yes. Like she was really just giving me the vibes. If y'all seen me singing in my stories this morning, that's because I was in the gym. And that was the first song that came on, and I love "Don't Let It Go to Your Head." That phrase is such an affirmation. Like, don't let it go to your head. And then she goes further to say, and don't let it go to your heart. Don't let them inside of you. And the them can be anybody or anything. So that for me is like this week I'll probably keep that. Like, don't let anything go to your head. And she says everything you say after that. Like, you are meant to be here. Don't question yourself. So I think all of those Cleo Soul lines is my affirmations right now.
I can go next. So I'm always talking to myself. Like I'm always I'll be like just chilling, driving, like, yeah, you were right. I don't know about what, but like you were right. Yeah, I was right. But there's an affirmation that I usually say. It's really simple. It's short. It's just always up from here. Like that's cool. We just keep it moving. We'll be fine. Just move on to the next thing. And that's what it means for me, and it's helped me get through so much. Like I've had moments where like I've broken down in my car just from crying and just like laughing. Like it's bad like when it's like a Joker hysterical laugh and it's like, no, that's not good. But I just said that affirmation and I was like, all right, we had that moment, let's keep it moving. And it allowed me that time to process and allowed me that time to grow and become stronger in the next step. So that's always been something that's really helped me.
I can speak from a perspective that I'm kind of working through. Late in the game, got diagnosed with ADHD, and recently started on a medication where previously I would be able to compartmentalize different things because they would just be forgotten. So you grab something, let it go, grab something, let it go. Now they're all on the front. So I've been trying to get used to this weird space of seeing everything that's wrong and staying there. I constantly have to remind myself, this went right, even though this went wrong. So my affirmations completely come around of like, even though this situation could have been dealt differently, or I could have delivered this in a timely manner or whatever, but this came out good, or this was the end product, this was the goal. Like I actually got to the place where I needed to be in that space. But that's why I've been living in regards to like daily affirmations of like, this went right. Even though today was a rough day or a tough day, this went right.
That's how I think. So I have a list of affirmations that I always play for myself. I haven't written down, but I recorded myself in like a more, I guess like a secure voice, like that was kind of stirring, like, you know. So like whenever I feel like down, I'll play the recording. It's like 3 minutes and 15 seconds. But since I moved, or even before I moved, I haven't played it in a while. But I played it, like I tried to play it like probably like last week sometime, and it was cool. I heard a little bit, but I dozed off. I tried to do it in the morning, I dozed off on it, but when I came to the session and you had us go over the list, I filled up my whole paper because I already had them down. And so that was my first time, like when we had to write down our favorite ones, I actually like said them to myself and felt good about it and remember like when I wrote it down and why I wrote it down, stuff like that. So I took a look at the ones I wrote down. I will continue to be future oriented. I'm a giver and a receiver of love. Trust that you're safe, protected, and that you're blessed.
What you just said, Ajay, reminded me of affirmations that I hear from other people. And one of the affirmations that I heard from an artist, I think it was Nicoletta, but she said, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a fuck no. I've been living by that lately.
Yeah, that's right there. But I want to leave us on that note. And I want to say thank you guys for coming out tonight and having this quick conversation about imposter syndrome, but grounding ourselves in how we'll affirm ourselves this week, affirm ourselves next week, and continue to walk in our truth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.